Well, in some news just coming through, the Education Ministry has shut down colleges of education across the country. Members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CETAC, declared a strike on October 29 over poor service conditions of service. The striking teachers want issues on market premium and research allowances to be addressed by government. But the government has described the strike as illegal and has resolved not to pay them for the period they were out of office. Students of these colleges, on the other hand, have been left stranded in school without any academic activities. Public Relations Officer of the Education Ministry joins me live now. Thank you very much, Echo Vincent Asifua. Now, just why is it that the ministry has decided to shut down these colleges of education? Obviously, because of the strike, but why now?
Well, let me say a very good evening to you and your cherished viewers or listeners. If you remember, some few weeks ago, CETAC declared strike on the basis that some market premium that they deserve have not been paid, or they are calling for government to make sure that those market premiums are paid. On the part of the ministry, like government, what we did was that we made an offer to them that a 20% market premium could be paid at the interim, and because it will have to be accommodated for in the national budget. Further offer was also made that early 2019, government is also going to meet them so that they can reopen negotiations as far as the figures that are supposed to be paid to them are paid. Unfortunately, this impasse had prolonged to this point because there is some sort of misunderstanding, or if you like, difficulty on the part of CETAC to believe government in doing so, or they are even asking for more. That is why we are where we are today. So this evening around 4 p.m., the National Commission for Special Education directed all principals of colleges of education to release students to go home, whilst government is also negotiating with CETAC. So what it means is that the negotiation is still ongoing, and so until we are able to resolve the matters, students will have to be home so that we will be able to deal with the concerns of CETAC as and when it comes.
Now, what's been the update on the negotiations that are going on so far?
Well, as of yesterday, National Labour Commission met with the teachers of College of Education, and there was a direction, or let me say an instruction, from the National Labour Commission to CETAC that they should report to their various classrooms as soon as possible. Unfortunately, on the part of CETAC, they found it very difficult to also accept this. And so they also gave a condition precedent that until government is able to release their November salaries to them, they are not going to go back to the classroom. If you remember, just about last week, National Commission for Special Education again indicated to all principals that they should not validate the salaries of College of Education tutors because the strike that was declared was illegal, and for that matter, we will have to make sure that we deal with the issues as and when it comes. So if the strike is illegal, what it means is that you cannot be paid for no work done. So that is why we have to freeze their salaries, and that is what CETAC is also using as a bait, or if you like, a condition precedent for them to be paid.
All right. Now, please hold on for me. Prince Obing Himan speaks for CETAC, and he's joining me on the line right now. Now, Prince, are you aware of this latest directive from the Ministry of Education to shut down the colleges of education?
No, I'm not aware.
Well, how does that come to you?
I think that it's quite unfortunate. And we envisaged that we'll get to a moment like this and it will be pleasant for both parties, CETAC and the state. That was why all along we wanted the government through the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to come very clear regarding what we were legitimately asking for. And let me chip in quickly that it is not true. We were able to establish yesterday at the negotiation that there is no discussion, there is no negotiation that is ongoing. Indeed, at the hearing, we were able to produce evidence to prove that far from what people have been speculating, that we broke away from negotiation. Negotiation indeed ended, where government stated their final position. And the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission Chief Executive Officer, who fronted for the government team, indeed indicated that they were going to reopen negotiation the first quarter of next year. And we humbly prayed the committee that if negotiation was ongoing, how would you state your final position? How do you reopen something that is ongoing if it's not ended? So the choice of those words, the diction clearly supported that negotiation had ended. So I want to state that there's no such thing. Indeed, we asked that if they are going to reopen negotiation, I don't begrudge the PR because he wasn't there. Perhaps somebody told him. Negotiation will have to be reopened, indeed, so that we will be able to, as it were, go in. And we asked that we should be able to do that between Tuesday and Friday if they can restore the salary. When the National Labour Commission indeed directed that the salary will be paid to the teachers, because what we submitted indicated that we only have frozen part of the services that we render. So this is partial freeze of some services, but it doesn't amount to total freeze of service, which will be strike action. It's choice of words, semantics, that some of the people have decided to call it, strike action. So in that case, we were able to, prove that. So that is where we find ourselves. It's quite unfortunate. We hope that going forward, all of us will be guided by the situation we find ourselves in, and for that matter, come clear, so that we'll be able to find a lasting solution to the impasse.
Now, Prince, you've always been insisting, or CTAC has always insisted, that unless government decides to pay you your November salaries, you're not going to the negotiating table. Are you standing by that?
We stand by that. That is why when the commission said that we should, that the salary is legitimately ours, and the action we took does not warrant, freezing of salary, and that the salary will be paid. We thank them and ask that if that is the directive, then it should be restored and paid so that it hits our members' account by Monday. The only evidence which will, deals to the fact that the salaries have been paid. And the commission said, they do not know the procedure the controller goes through restoring salaries. So they will not be able to agree to or sort of give their word for the Monday the 10 hitting our account. So that is for the controller to work on that. That is where we humbly disagreed with the commission, saying that if that is the case and they cannot give us timeline with specific dates, like it will be paid this time, then it means that it could happen that it will take a month before the thing will be restored, where we inconvenience our members, go if not ask somebody to save our money for us. So that is where, after all these things, the commission finally said that they give us up to Monday 2 o'clock. CTAC and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, to us it were submit a roadmap indicating how we are going to engage one another, and now understanding how they are going to reopen the negotiation for us to agree on what to do. Other than that, they will drag us before them, and then we'll begin the process of compulsory arbitration. And I think that is where we have to head towards, compulsory arbitration.
All right, so I still have Echo Vincent Sefua on the line. Now, Echo, how do we move this forward and bring closure to this impasse?
Well, I think Prince just indicated that the only way for us to be able to deal with this particular issue, especially at the point that we find ourselves, is a compulsory arbitration. And so National Labour Commission will have to give a ruling.
All right.
The ruling that will be given by National Labour Commission will be seen as a decision of the High Court. So failure to abide by that ruling means that it is almost contempt. And if you have any redress, you may have to go to an appeals court. And so we wouldn't avoid that we get to this point, but it is almost imminent that we have gotten to a point that is not pleasant to anybody. And so let's see what the coming days has for us.
All right, thank you very much, Echo Vincent Sefua, who's a public relations officer of the Ministry of Education. Also, thank you to the president of CTAC for making your views known to us here on Joy News Prime. Moving.